Hello, everyone. It's been a little while since I got on here, but I have been thinking about something that I wanted to talk to you all about. So please add your comments in the comment section area so that you can give us more food for thought. So, for those of you that are new here, my name is Susan Morales, and my YouTube channel focuses on learning how to follow Jesus in an everyday kind of way. I would love it if you would subscribe. Today we're going to talk about the topic of how women and men might defend themselves, think about self-defense differently, and how they might act upon that thought process differently. And really just searching those thoughts out, seeing, what is wise, what is not wise, and what can we gather from scripture to support where we land on this topic. So let me share with you a little bit about how this topic really kind of solidified in my mind and really got me to think more about it than, the casual here and there throughout life. Like, just sometimes you get a thought and you're like, yeah, that's important. And then you kind of move on, like that one cartoon where it's like the dog and, he's focusing and then all of a sudden he goes squirrel. And that's kind of like how I feel we think about things that are important sometimes, but we don't stay on that topic for long. Sometimes it's kind of overwhelming and we're like, I don't know where to begin, so I'm just not even going to think about it. And so this topic of self-protection kind of what got me thinking more about it is that last week I took the kids to a park. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take my kids, my little ones, I'm going to teach them to roller skate. They hadn't learned. So in my ignorance, in my naive, I don't know, mom brain, I thought I can do it. I can figure out how to train, these never before roller skating kids. I can teach them how to do it at the same time. Well, that was a mistake. First of all, I went to the store, I bought the equipment, and then I went straight to the park. And of course, when you buy things, they have those really plastic hard things that are meant to protect the stores from us stealing the things, right? But it makes it really difficult to open these things. So it was their helmets, and I could not just with my brute strength rip them apart. So I looked around at the parking lot where we were at, and this is a place where I feel pretty safe. There's a lot of people driving in and out, walking by in the parking lot. So I looked around. I saw a lady passing by, and I'm like, probably. I mean, yeah, moms can be really resourceful when it comes to having just so many things that you wouldn't think about having in your possession at any given time. But I just thought, okay, I should probably just ask a guy because they usually have tools, right? So I saw a guy that he had just finished running, and he was just kind of there outside of his car, and I approached him. He had headphones, which is a common thing, right, these days. If you call out to someone, they usually won't respond because they have their headphones. So I told my kid, stay here, and then I walked closer to this young man. He heard me asking if he had scissors. And he saw that I had these helmets in my hand, and he's like, yeah, I think I can help you out. And so he reached inside his pocket, and, I was thinking, oh, scissors in his pocket. He took out this knife, and it was like something like this big, and it like he opened it, and it wasn't one of those Swiss type of knives. So it was like something that is a little intimidating, and it just happened really fast. I didn't really have time to think too much. He was having kind of a hard time like cutting it, but he even like offered to keep the trash for me, and he just looked really friendly. He seemed like a really nice guy, but I couldn't help but realize, wow, like him just having a knife out, there was like this power shift all of a sudden, like for me as a woman, it's just one of those things that you I don't know if it's a guy thing also, but as a woman especially, you just want to avoid people with knives, no matter what the reason. Um, and so it was just one of those things where it's like, wait, the worst case scenario didn't happen, but what if, it could have? So I'm just like, okay, next time I'm going to carry my own scissors, and that kind of got me thinking about, well, should women casually carry a knife like that too? I went on my Twitter and I saw some people comment different things that they had to say about that. So I think I'm going to like go to my Twitter right now and just share some of those things as well. But I wanted to share one other situation. When I had just had, I think it was my first baby, and I was walking with a stroller in my neighborhood. That was kind of a new thing for me because I grew up in not so great neighborhoods for most of, my childhood. It wasn't until like my last year of high school that I was like in a nicer neighborhood. And so it's just completely different. Like walking in my old neighborhood, it never felt safe. Even as a child, I always felt like I had to be, on my guard. And so it's not like when I think knives, I think, okay, you're either like in a gang or you are like putting it in your pocket for self-protection. It was interesting to hear some of the other things, other considerations that some other men shared on Twitter, but I'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, I was walking in my nice neighborhood, and I just shared, my background for this reason because I want you to see how I responded. I froze. And I was like, literally, I was like 15 steps away from my home. Like I was on the corner, and like my house is like so close to that corner. And I saw two men in that car. It drove slow. I felt like they were looking at me, and they just kind of like, there was like a stop sign like right there, but I just felt like they stayed a little longer than what they had to, and I was so afraid. My reaction was, I had my phone, so I just kind of stopped. I didn't even keep walking. I just froze in fear. I got my cell phone out and I like pretended to call my husband or something, or maybe I did, but that was the only thing I could think of in that moment of fear, where I thought the worst. Like those guys, I don't know if they realized that they scared me because like I felt like they just kind of drove away after they saw that I just responded that way. And so all these things kind of, it made me realize, wow, like guys' experience to confronting, fearful situations, or even feeling like they're even in a fearful situation, their experience must be so different from like what women experience. I heard someone say that they did an experiment, like a study on baby females and baby males, and that the study showed that when there was a fearful situation, the way that the male babies responded was different from the female babies. So when the girl babies were afraid, they started to cry. So it's like they responded by calling for help. And when the male babies got afraid, they showed anger. So I think that kind of goes to show how women, even adult women or young girls, the way we typically respond to fear, like in my Frozen example, we reach out for help. We rely on that Prince Charming, in the cartoons, right, where the strong guy is going to come and fight the battle for us. Whereas the guys respond, with their anger. They get prepared. They're going to use their muscles. Obviously, these are generalizations, and not to say that, some women are not going to respond like the generalization of the men or the other way around. But I think it's worth talking about. Okay, so this is what I wrote on my Twitter. What do you think? Is it normal or creepy for a guy to carry a knife in their pocket? And so there were 55 votes on this poll. The options were normal / protection, creepy, dangerous guy, other, comment below. So 85.5% said normal, protection, 9.1% said creepy, dangerous guy, and 5.5% said other, comment below. So these were some of the comments that I received. I carry one every day. I live in the West, though. Lots of folks carry knives and guns. So it's interesting because depending on where you live, your experience is going to be different too, right? I can't imagine just being in a culture where everyone walking around or in their home has a gun, and I know that's going to sound very controversial, but it's just one of those things that when you become an adult in particular, you realize, oh, that's actually pretty common. Not just criminals are in possession of guns. Again, my background that influenced me about weapons. But I always thought it's actually a dangerous thing to have a weapon even in your pocket in the event that a police officer stops you and finds that you have something in your possession that's a weapon. I always thought it's safer not to, but apparently in certain places it's more common and more acceptable than in other places. And so yeah, something to keep in mind. Another comment was, I have my wife keep a knife and pepper spray in her purse. This is a husband that is looking out for his wife and has recommended that his wife carry these things that she would be able to protect herself. So I do like that. I like that a husband is thinking about his wife's safety, because here's the thing, that as women, when we get married, for example, we feel safe because our husband is stronger, because if anything bad happened, the husband we trust would be able to fight the bad guys. And so yeah, a husband inspires safety, protection, and not even just in the house, but just anywhere you go. You feel like you can be in a parking lot, in a lonely parking lot, and you're safe because the bad guys are going to see that there's a man right there, right, that's protecting you. So it just feels different. And I think there's another study out there too that they realize, wow, women are way more anxious about their safety rather than men are. So like sometimes if we are not with a man, right? Like we said, like women search for others to help, to protect, with our fears. We go in groups. So if not a man, a woman, or more than one woman, and we feel safe because hey, it's a lot of us, so we're good. Like even when we go to like places with our kids, you just feel, I don't know, more comfortable with other moms sometimes. So here's another comment. I live in the South. This is standard as knives are a utility for numerous things like opening stuff, cutting rope, unscrewing screws, prying stuff off. We use it for everything. So that was something that I did not even consider adding to my poll. I didn't think about the practicality of it. And then I realized, oh yeah, there were those, what do you call them again? Those utility knives, Swiss Army knives, that I even remember my mom, she used to have like these little scissors that would like open and close and like go back to the shape that it was, so it's safe in your purse. But they have like the little knives, and it has all those tools, right? So I can't tell you how practical that would have been if I had something like that, like even like a nail clipper, and like some of those utility knives things come with like all of those things, right? Even like a nail clipper, because especially as a mom, like sometimes we're out and about, and oh, I bought something. Man, I wish I had like something to cut this. It's harder than I can do with my brute strength. But sometimes my kid is like complaining that his nail is like hurting or whatever, and it would be handy to have one of those nail clippers and so forth. So and then but on the protection side, I don't know. I've always, as a mom, felt it's important not to have dangerous things in my possession because my little kids, right? Especially my little son. He's so curious about everything. He's gonna be handling it. So that's the thing. Also, like, you have to consider safety. You've heard a lot of like scary things that have happened to little children, like with guns in particular in the home, that they've opened a safe or things like that. So that's definitely a concern, like how to keep your kids safe while at the same time having things that you could use for practical reasons or for safety reasons. Just in case you don't know, I guess I should mention that I live in California. I always have. So that's kind of the environment that I'm used to. So it's all kind of new to me hearing from you guys that live in different places of the world. Well, the world or the United States. Someone else wrote, quite common in many circles, EDC, everyday carry. I think I've heard that phrase more about guns. I'm not sure if you use that phrase also for like other type of things. So EDC, everyday carry, is a mindset of having a few basic tools on you. Might be just a knife plus flashlight, or knife and firearm. A knife is the most basic tool as it is so versatile, and I think most people should carry one. EDC mindset is kind of better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Okay, and another comment said, I said other in the poll options just because I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I don't think it's common enough to call it normal. Okay, so another person wrote, not creepy where I live. It's extremely common to see a guy with a knife here. which I'm curious about where you live. And another person shared a picture, and he wrote, "Growing up, we were taught always carry a pocket knife. It's boyhood 101, but not for protection and never to use against someone. It's because it's always handy for fixing or cutting stuff or whittling. Men need a pocket knife was SOP, but not at school. Plus, it's easier than," and then he shared this picture with scissors and all these different types of tools, which is pretty funny. Yeah, and then I responded with the example that I opened up with. And then he said, "I don't know many that do anymore about like men carrying knives in their pockets. I had to cut a box open with my key today." So yeah, I was wondering if a lot of men carry knives. Like, is this something that I just didn't know? Like, because that's a little, that's kind of sobering to think. I might feel like I'm just having a conversation with this nice stranger, but maybe this nice stranger has a knife in his pocket, and what if it turns out that he's not a nice guy? That's just kind of sobering to me. Um, my kids are telling our neighbor about our new cats. So, yeah, it was interesting how he said that he had to cut a box open with his keys. The same thing. I do the same thing, and I think that's why I'm having problems with my keys because I'm like actually damaging them because I open a lot of boxes with them. Um, so yeah, like I would use a key, or I go looking for my scissors. All right. Someone else wrote, "I carry one for the utility, including freeing my family from the car in case of a wreck." Okay. Um, so you I feel like there are some men that seem to feel more responsible about like protecting their family. I think especially since men are taught a lot that it's your job to protect the family, or because you feel like, hey, I'm the stronger one, so I need to protect my family. Someone else responded to that comment, "If MacGyver taught anything, it would be that having a knife and a half roll of duct tape is totally normal and essential, and I can't leave home without it." Alrighty. Someone else wrote, 5.5 inches folding knife every time I'm not in a suit. And someone asked, "What is your suit knife?" Smaller, 2.25 inches folder that is a bit dressier, dark metal, wood grain. So, like, that goes to show that there's even this, like, like women with their purses, for example, you want to accessorize. So, there's some thought to even like the knife that you're going to carry for what occasion, you know? Alrighty, so those were the comments. And there was also another comment today that someone left on my Twitter saying that they recommend, let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, someone wrote, "I think the new pepper gas guns are good for self-protection for men and women. The pepper gas is shot in a projectile rather than disperse in the air. Pepper gas is more effective than mace." Okay, so yeah, so I went to Amazon and I looked, knife, pocket knife. And there were so many different options. Of course, I leaned towards the pink ones, but that looked like, not like a weak little tiny thing, like something like, I don't know, that you see in the movies or whatever. I didn't buy it, But I'm determined to buy something because I think that there's something wrong with thinking that like we don't have to worry about this. There's obviously I rely and pray and depend on God to protect me. Oh my goodness, just this week I can tell you how many times God has protected me and my family from really, really like bad things happening. So God, I think God is always going to protect us. But I mean, maybe it's not a sign of a lack of faith to carry like something, to protect. I know one time I was pregnant, I was walking around the block with my husband, and out of nowhere, like this big dog came running like towards us. Good thing it was a nice dog. He was barking while he was coming, but then my husband just talked to him like, "Hi." And that totally like made the dog like super friendly all of a sudden. So that was a smart tactic my husband used. But like what about even just something to protect us from like a dog attack or um, I don't think there's anything in the Bible that would discourage us from having something in our purse, or in our pocket, right? Obviously there are going to be situations where like there's some people that should not be carrying those things, and I guess that's the whole purpose of like being defensive. I've heard people say that they get in a car fight, and out of nowhere the guy pulls out a gun and starts shooting at the car in front. It's like, oh my goodness, like that makes you like think bad guys carry weapons, so you're a good guy, you're not going to carry weapons. But I'm not sure that's the right mentality. Okay, in the Bible, do we see any examples where women are supposed to protect themselves? I can only think of like one situation where there was a woman, and it was prophesied that a woman was going to, be the cause why, the battle was going to be won. And so that woman, like, pretty much killed that man that God's people were fighting against. But, most of world history, we have men that are fighting the battles, that are preparing themselves, that are accumulating the weapons, that, are going to wars and fighting. So I think we do have that mentality, whereas when you're born, you're a girl, you're a woman, you don't really own it as much as perhaps a man owns that. And I'm just not sure if that's the correct thing that we should, live by. So I would love it if you could share any thoughts on places in the Bible where you feel that as a Christian, even if if you're a man or if you're a woman, in particular, if you're a woman, that it is something that we ought to do in our life, that we ought to prepare ourselves to, just be able to defend ourselves as much as it's up to us, right? Ultimately, God is in control, but I've just been thinking, you do an Amazon search and there's just so many different options: pepper sprays, tasers, knives, lots of other things, whistles. So like there's that, but then also I think it's more common now for women to go to the gym and lift weights and, make their bodies look really fit and strong. But I'm not sure that, like, all women feel like that they're supposed to try to make their bodies also be strong. Like, I guess a lot of men don't feel that way too. You guys have the advantage of being, bigger and stronger for the most part. So you already have that advantage over a lot of women, even if you don't exercise, right? But like for women, like I think it's good for us as well, as men, but especially women that are weaker, to have a mindset of getting stronger. Even if you're still weaker than another guy, like don't just let that be something that you think, well, I'm never going to be as strong as a man, so what's the point? I think we could still be responsible and work the body that God has given us. If God made us capable of having a muscular body, then shouldn't we be, adding that to our goals every day? Another thing, for example, what do you call it? It's like you can take classes that teach you self-defense, like learning different moves, especially moves that would help women in particular in certain types of situations. Why not? Why not make that a common thing where, hey, if you're a woman, go take a self-defense class, or men, right? Teach your kids, right? Even kids, because they're vulnerable as well. So why not take your kids to karate or whatever, like a self-defense class as well? So maybe there's more that we should be doing in order to, be responsible in this area as well in our life. Let me know in the comment section. I really want to hear from you. I would love, especially if you can give reasons for why you think that your Christian worldview teaches you this. Because I know some people might think, well, Jesus says to turn the other cheek. But then in the Bible also, there are parts where God clearly tells them, go to battle, and like pick up your weapons and fight. So I think it's important for us to read things in context and really try to see what is the application that we can draw from those particular situations that we read about in the Bible. So if you like this video, you want to see more of these videos coming on this channel, please give me a like. That lets me know, yep, you appreciate these videos and it encourages me to make more. And if you would like to take another step towards supporting what I do, please visit my website, susanmorales.org, and there's a support link there where you can become either a patron to give monthly, or you can do a one-time donation. So that really helps me out and I really appreciate it. So thank you to my patrons and thank you to you guys for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.